Welcome to Technoxy News on this October 7th, 2025 with Patrick Wood, and I'm your co-host Logan House. Today we have the SANDBOX Act gives teeth to the AI action plan. Technocrat fail. Nearly 1/3 of EV charging attempts fail. America's crypto future comes into focus. Bitcoin, gold, land in Lutnick. And lastly, we have the state just robbed an entire crypto exchange in broad daylight. Patrick, what is this SANDBOX Act? And it seems like Ted Cruz is behind this, right?
Exactly. This is Mr. Conservative, right?
Yeah.
What's going on here? Well, it turns out you might remember the AI action plan that was, we had an article on that some time ago, but it was basically released to the whitehouse.gov website on July 23rd of this year. And it was crazy action plan for sure. It was written by Michael Kratzius and David Sachs, the two arch technocrats in Trump's administration. So all of a sudden, well, the action plan, that's just a plan. No teeth to it, but they just put it out there. This is what we want to do. There was 3 pillars, you might remember, to it. And the last pillar I talked about on my symposium presentation over the weekend. Basically, the last pillar is building empire throughout the world using AI and the exporting of everything that we have to our allies around the world. And so now Ted Cruz has introduced the SANDBOX Act to basically put the action plan into action. What can I say? Okay, it's going to give shoe leather to the action plan. Put it that way. So here we are. The game goes on. You can't hardly make this stuff up. First the plan, then the legislation. This probably will zoom through both houses quickly. That would be my guess, and we'll have to see. But probably get changed along the way a little bit. But this business of the sandbox aspect of this is a term that's it's an acronym for the bill exactly. But this is the concept of a sandbox. It refers to a computer industry term where there's a setup where a defined space is created for anything like anything goes. And you'll see it in software development. You'll see in zones being set up around the country to do experiments. And when the technocrats or startups come into a place and they have the sandbox, that means anything goes. They can do anything they want to do, and they can experiment on the population as well, without consent, like it is happening in Maricopa County. So this is a big deal at this point. Sandbox with AI deregulation. This is not what we want in America. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and it's all being pushed, it seems, through the lens of a race with China, which we've talked about before.
Yes, you see the concept here of accelerationism. Mm-hmm. Apparently, Cruz has bought into this evil philosophy, but the essence of accelerationism is that technology must be accelerated in order to break things. In other words, put it to the wall, see what sticks, break everything else. This is crazy for a legislator, especially, to buy into this. And they're usually they will use the excuse of the race. We have to beat China, Mm-hmm. We have to be the head of the pack. And of course, that's foolish on the surface of it. But this is the narrative that Ted Cruz is pushing.
Yeah, he says winning the AI race is about more than just technological advancement. If the United States fails to lead, the values that infuse AI development and deployment will not be American ones, but the values of regimes that use AI to control rather than to liberate. If China wins the AI race, the world risks an order built on surveillance and coercion. Well, I think that's going to happen either way, depending on no matter who builds it, right?
Well, excuse me. That's right.
Yeah.
He's worried about China imposing, a coercive state, but they're doing the same thing here and probably faster than China. So give me a break. This is not what we wanted in the first place.
Yeah. Do you want the Chinese bad guys or do you want the American bad guys building it? Which
At this point, I know maybe we should have the Russian bad guys building something, but they're not in the race at this point. They've defaulted or whatever. They're not in the race.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, we have the technocrat fail. Nearly 1/3 of EV charging attempts fail. And this was something Biden was pushing for really hard, right? He spent billions of dollars trying to put electric vehicle charging stations across the country, which I don't think many of them went up at all.
Well, of the ones that did go up, I think they said at this point, most people have a charging station within 2 miles of their house. That's not here in Mesa for sure. I haven't seen any to speak of here, but that's what the statistics are saying. And of the ones that are up, the problem is at this point, they're failing left and right. Now, they say on the apps you have, they'll say, well, such and such a station is up and available. But you go there and you plug your car in, like these are right here, and all of a sudden you get a message up on the screen saying, fail, 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 we can't charge your car. Another car could come along and plug it in and it would work, but maybe your car won't. So the statistics now they're saying that 1/3 of the attempts to charge are failing.
Wow.
Why is this? Well, there's computers on either side of the equation here. Your car has a computer, and a battery has this chip as well. And the charging station has its own computer, right? So these computers need to talk to each other. And if they're not synced as far as the firmware, software on both sides, they won't work. This is what's happening. It's not that people are running over these things or whatever. They're not destroying them that way. But the software is the problem at this point. So if software doesn't get updated correctly, or if the firmware doesn't get updated correctly, then things will fail. And it's plaguing EV customers all across the country at this point.
Yeah, and it just really shows how unreliable it is, right? If you get to a charging station with just a little bit of juice and it doesn't work, you can't go anywhere. And there might not
That's
be.
right.
I can only think of a few charging stations in my area, and none of them are very close to where I'm sitting. The closest one I can really think of is probably 15, 20 minutes away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, why people would want an EV in the first place is beyond me. But a lot of people are putting $3,000 charging stations in their home.
Yeah,
that's after you get your car. It's these things, they're expensive, and if you get rid of your EV at some point, you say, "Oh, I'm done with that." Now you have this charging station permanently in your garage. And you can look at it every day when you get into your gas car at that point, or diesel, and you're going to just grind your teeth.
Yeah, and some of them might be great for people who just drive around the city and go to work, come home, go to work, come home. But for the average person who travels or has to go long distance, these just aren't there. They're just not going to work.
That's right. And you could say your charging station at home probably would work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get out in the public, you don't know the condition or the update status on these other commercial charging stations.
Yeah. Yep.
That's just the way computers are.
Uh-huh.
There's another issue here also, that if a firmware upgrade is applied, or no, turn it around. If it's not applied correctly,
Uh-huh.
then the software will definitely fail at some point. And if people don't understand what firmware is, that's not the software portion that makes things run, but that's the stuff that goes in. The firmware is what goes into the chips itself to reprogram the chips to interface correctly with your EV station, right? So if that's out of sync, it's going to throw everything off.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's not just EVs though that are getting all this fancy tech and computer systems built in. Every car is these days. I mean, my truck even, I have to, it keeps asking me to update it. And if I update it, I have to let it sit there until it's done updating. And I'm like, I know I've been pushing it off for like a year because I'm like, what if this takes longer than I think and I need to go somewhere? I'm sitting here, my truck's updating. I can't drive it.
Yep, you got it.
So
you got it.
I don't know why we need all this tech in these cars. I mean, we just drive them, but what's wrong with a radio and a normal car? But we got to go to a break. We'll be back with the next story here in just a minute.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
We have a big announcement, folks. It's called Bella Melt. In the first week, you lost 3 pounds on this, right?
That is correct.
Your GLP-1 is a natural hormone that's in every single one of our bodies. And your GLP-1 lets you know if you're full. It's a satiety hormone. So when your GLP is working properly, it does help suppress your appetite as well as reduce those cravings. So what it's going to do best is it's going to reduce your sugar cravings or any other cravings you have in your body. It's going to suppress that appetite. But where Melissa got the most benefit, I think, over the last week was the L-carnitine. The L-carnitine tells your mitochondria, this is where you make, we talked about it before, this is where you produce energy in your cells. It actually tells those mitochondria to burn fat for fuel.
MelissaHouseBG.com just now introducing for the first time Bella Melt with GLP-1 Fast Action.
I flew down to Brownsville, Texas, right? And I met with Elon, and we spent 2 hours together. And I told him we were going to create the department Doge, right? And he did exactly that. He started laughing and he was happy. He goes, no, seriously. And I said, no, it's going to be called Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, but we're definitely calling it Doge for you. And he was just so lit, happy. He just thought it was funny. And that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
If you have the greatest capitalist in America and you can make him happy, that's pretty good. What is the balance sheet of the United States of America? What's everything we own and everything we have? I think it's worth $500 trillion. So then you say, okay, Howard, can you make 0.25% on it. Right now, if all of your assets are a giant mountain of, palladium and gold and you can't move it and you have to just look at it and go, oh, that's so pretty. That's not going to help us. But we have land and we have minerals. So if we have 500 trillion and we can make 0.25%, if you give us a $500 trillion asset, can you make $1 trillion off of it? All right.
Hopefully.
I'm going to rename that famous department we just called it. We called it the Department of the Interior. Let's give it the real name. The Department of all the land and mineral rights of the United States of America. But the value, the asset value of the United States of America, $500 trillion, the addressable market. Mm-hmm. Can Elon Musk and I come up with 0.25%, $1.25 trillion of revenues? And the answer is
Well, welcome back, Patrick. We've played that clip months ago. I think right in the beginning of the Trump administration, we played it. And what's the news on this now?
Wow. Well, this article actually is about Tether. Tether is one of the stable coins that is available to the new crypto scheme that these technocrats have cooked up in Washington, D.C. It just so happens that Howard Lutnick is the beneficiary, if you will, of Tether being the chosen architect of the new financial system. His firm, Cantor Fitzgerald, has a contract with Tether to manage all of their treasury assets for them. They make millions and millions and millions. This is a big industry at this point. And so when Lutnick was appointed as a Secretary of Commerce and confirmed, well, he gave his interest to his family. He put it in trust and for his kids, and now they're running everything for him. But it's still in the family, right? So the idea here is that these people are choosing Tether to be the stable coin that will be used for payments around the world. It's tied 1-to-1 to the dollar. However, this article brings out that Tether also is in the business of digitizing assets as well. In other words, tokenizing assets. They have a division, a separate division. That's all it does, is they figure out pools of assets that could be digitized, and then they go out and do it. So you see there's the payment tokens on one side of the ledger, and then they have the asset tokens on another. Well, this is why the Federal Reserve was blocked from issuing central bank digital currency, because the Fed could never, ever tokenize any asset at all. That's not in their purview. There's no way they could do that. So when Trump made the executive order blocking the Fed from issuing or researching central bank digital currencies, that paved the way for Tether to swoop in. And this is what they were thinking in the first place. Tether could swoop in at this point and be adopted first as the payment token. That's what the CBCDs would have done in the first place. And on the other side of that coin is the digitization and tokenization of assets. This is what Howard Lutnick was talking about back then. It's as clear as the nose on your face at this point what they're intending to do. And what is that? Well, it's taking all of our mineral resources, our land resources, the assets, the gold as well in our vaults, and taking that, tokenizing it, lifting the value out of the land, to be spread around the world, who knows where at this point. But once the value is lifted out of the asset, where does it go from there? Well, you don't have to worry about the physical asset at this point, but the tokens will be spread all over the world and into the hands of people like Howard Lutnick and people like BlackRock, State Street, all these companies that have just buku reserves of cash. They don't know what to do with it. And this will give them an opportunity to basically steal everything in America. This is so egregious, in my opinion. I don't see why America is not just hopping up and down right now.
So this would basically be a digital currency backed by our land, right? And our gold reserve.
That's right. That's right.
And they are already in positions to have abundance of it, with being involved, especially Lutnick and his family being involved with Tether already.
I know there's others as well, but Lutnick, he certainly just takes the cake for conflicts of interest. And that figures. That's always been the case in Washington, D.C. We've seen this for years. But this is so egregious at this point. But what people aren't discovering is that our national assets are about to be disappeared, as far as we're concerned.
Yeah.
All of this land was supposed to be held in trust for the American people. Now, the government has failed that. But now, if they figure out a way to tokenize the asset, it'll lift the value out of that land. And let me just say, back up, just if you own a house, how hard is it to steal your house? You say, well, you could, maybe jimmy the title or something and get it that way, or maybe you get a moving truck and take it away on the truck, right? It's hard to steal a house. And real estate in general. You can't, if you had a farm, nobody can steal your farm in the sense that they can grab it from you and take it away and hide it somewhere. Well, that's the beauty about real estate and real assets. Well, you have them and they're yours, and nobody can really steal them easily. With tokenization process, that changes now, because once the value is lifted out of the real estate, where is your title at that point? You don't know you can't trace it back to the original owner. There's no way you can trace it. So if all of our national assets are tokenized, which part of a token, for instance, is associated with Yellowstone, for instance, okay, or Montana, whatever. So this is a license to steal at that point, and there's no trace on it. Once it's tokenized, there's no trace left. It's just going to go poof, and the value is gone, and the asset's going to sit there, but it'll sit under the control of the oligarchs who want to go then and put in mines and oil wells and that kind of stuff, timber. This is a crazy situation.
Could this
really
be the new system, per se, that replaces the dollar?
It really is. It totally. Yeah. This you can see it. You can see it on every aspect of this thing. The replacing the dollar is going to be easy once the payment tokens like Tether are hooked up 1-to-1 to the dollar. What do you need the dollars for at that point? When it's all hooked up, what do you need the dollars for? They can just say, let's forget the dollar. We're just going to go to the tokens, and
they'll be able to say that they're actually backed by something other than the dollar, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And in a twisted sense, you say, well, if you put all the gold and all the real estate in there, you have backing on that currency at this point. That's a moot argument, because the question, who owns it in the first place? Well, you don't own it. You never have a claim against it. You can't eat it. You can't exchange it for anything other than I don't know, whatever, maybe just food or something. But it's crazy.
Well, we have just a second to touch this last story. The state just robbed an entire crypto exchange in broad daylight.
You got to hand it to Canada. They know how to pull this stuff off, you know. But yeah, this is the Jesse James gang from the 1880s. They were a motley crew for sure, but they held up banks all over the West, and I think they all got killed in the end. But at this point, Canada has figured out a way to just confiscate or steal the entire crypto exchange because they didn't like the way they were hiding the identity of the customers. That's the only thing they did. So all of the innocent holders of crypto and that exchange just got, run over by a freight train.
Wow.
It just, boom, here today, gone tomorrow.
Well, maybe we can go deeper into this on Thursday. We're all out of time for today. So until then, take care.
God bless.